All right, where is the real estate market headed as we wrap up 2023 and we move into 2024? Okay, so where are we going here in California in terms of interest rates, prices, and affordability? Just a couple weeks ago, Fannie Mae put out a survey where only 14% of Americans responded saying that they think it's a good idea to be buying a house right, okay? So an overwhelming 86% of those people would say it is not a good idea to be buying a home here at the end of 2023, headed into 2024. Well, let's think about this. Why is that? Well, the last about 4 years, if we think about home prices right before the pandemic in 2020, compared to now, on average, home prices are up above 20%, right? And then if we think about interest rates, since March of 2022, we've been experiencing a very high interest rate environment, right? And so those two things, along with the fact that Americans have more credit card debts in quite some time with really high interest rates above 20%, all those things combined to see results like only 14% of Americans think it's a good idea to be buying a house right now. Well, the good news is if that survey was put out again, let's say next week, I think the results might be a little bit better, right? Why is that? Well, just very recently, the Fed wrapped up their last meeting of the year and came out with a decision or an announcement, I should say, that said, looking into 2024, that they're going to be cutting rates on 3 occasions with a target of 25 basis points on each of those rate cuts, right? And so only 2 days after that big announcement, just last week, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate across that average went from 7.10 all the way down to 6.64%. So quite a big dip in that 30-year fixed rate. So perhaps, right, it's time to be cautiously optimistic about what 2024 is going to be looking like. Please stick with me until the end of the video. We're going to talk about one X factor that's going to be happening in 2024 that always plays a huge part in the national as well as state and local real estate market. I think it's something that everybody needs to think about. If you're making big decisions, whether it's buying or selling real estates, you definitely need to be prepared and think about that. So we'll get to that by the end of the video. Right now, let's get into what the rest of the rates are looking like. This is according to Mortgage News Daily. We already talked about the 30-year fixed is down to 6.64%. The 15-year fixed is now at 6.15%. The jumbo is 7.05%. Now it depends on where you are, where you reside, what county. So definitely look up what qualifies as a conventional loan versus a jumbo. Depends where you live. An FHA, right? And the huge draw to using FHA loans is that you only need to put 3% down. That's now at 6.14%. And of course, the VA loan, that national average is now 6.15%. And of course, the big draw to using the VA, you don't need to put any money down whatsoever. Now, these rates might be a little bit different depending where you go and find them. Again, this is according to Mortgage News Daily. These rates assume an applicant with excellent credit, a FICO of 740 or above. Other companies may look at, a wider range of FICOs, perhaps from 700 and above. So those would still be pretty good, but not as good as 740. So again, those rates might see a little bit of a difference. Okay, so why would the Fed make this decision to come out and say, 3 times in 2024, we're going to be looking at rate cuts? Basically, they've concluded that inflation, although it's still sticky, meaning it's still going to be here, sticky, or inflation has, quote, tamed. Basically, they're saying it's not going to get much worse than this. You can still expect to be paying, in general, about the same amount of money when you go out to have a bite to eat, couple drinks, go fill up your car with gas, go to the grocery store. All those things are gonna be costing on average about the same, but basically it's not gonna be getting much worse. And the other piece of good news was that these economists come out and said that wages are starting to catch up with, how far ahead inflation took us when everything jumped up and became so expensive. So essentially, in a nutshell, inflation has just kind of flattened out, and basically for the last 5 or 6 months, prices have pretty much remained the same. That's part of the reason why the Fed came out and made this announcement. And then of course, in the real estate market itself, mortgage economy, these rates starting to come down a little bit, making people like me cautiously optimistic about what's around the corner in 2024. Okay, now what's that big X factor that we're all going to be seeing for a majority of 2024, definitely in the spring months? It's going to really start ramping up in the summer. And then of course, all the way into that very first week of November, what happens every 4 years? Of course, that general election. Just thinking about 4 years ago, there was so much uncertainty and straight up chaos. And so we never quite know how that's going to affect the economy as a whole. And then specifically real estate markets nationally, and then statewide here in California. But every 4 years, real estate market definitely, goes into a bit of uncertainty, right? No one knows for sure what's going to happen depending on the results of not only national elections, but state and local, right? We know people get very passionate, as they should, right, in their beliefs, but we need to be educated, prepared, and able to make clear-minded decisions if you are making a big decision like buying or selling real estate in 2024. Again, we just don't know what's going to happen and how the real estate market is going to respond. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please go, if you're still watching, I think you have. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Please go ahead and hit that like button, comments, and of course, please subscribe. That will let YouTube know to put this video in front of more and more people just like yourself who want to make informed decisions in their real estate journeys. My name is Peter Kane. I work for Century 21 Lois Lauer here in Southern California. Please do not hesitate to reach out should you have any questions, or if you're thinking about making a move, perhaps here to Redlands or one of our surrounding communities. Even better, it would be very smart of you to go ahead and go onto my YouTube homepage, hit that very first link, and we can meet online to help you find your next home. Okay, until next time.